Friends, we are home at last.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are finally back outside. After over a month and a half of waiting, we can actually film this beautiful space once more. I am so excited to be here with you today at what is Clemson's Experimental Forest here in Clemson, South Carolina, which is a place I used to work. I'm so excited to have you here with me, and the boys are back as well, so now please, come along with us on this adventure today.
And starting off today's roundup, we have here Lake. And don't get lost there, buddy, here's Tauntaun. And we also have Edom. We just accidentally forgot to give him an establishing shot. Sorry, buddy. Now, the Clemson Experimental Forest is a very nice area to come out and visit, whether it's by yourself or with friends and family. Further, it's welcoming to all age groups. And for anyone who's curious about today's map, here is the route that we took. Now, let's go and see what this hike is all about. Our journey begins here at the Fant Grove Road trailhead. This area is fairly flat with only a few rolling hills, and you'll notice that what surrounds you is mostly young to middle-aged pine. So, at least it smells nice. Fairly quickly, you're going to come upon what appears to be some deforested areas for logging. However, for those who are conservation-minded, don't worry. This is a university experimental forest. These kind of areas are being cleared for new growth to be planted and studied soon. And here is a perfect example of a field currently reclaiming itself and growing anew. So, good job, Mother Nature. I would also like to point out that all of the trails here at the Experimental Forest are very clearly marked, so although you may not need a map, I do still suggest bringing one. You will also be constantly reminded by signs like these of exactly where you are, but this is good because the acreage is 17,500. Wow. It is also worth it to note that this is a trail open to not only hiking, but people on bikes and horses as well. And if you don't believe me about the horses, here is Exhibit A, and here is Exhibit B, road apples. Now let me take you to my all-time favorite biome of the Clemson Experimental Forest.
Now right here is the Moso bamboo section of the Experimental Forest, and we are just about to go in, but this is an absolutely incredible place I can't wait to share with you. And please keep in mind that something like this actually takes 60 to 70 days to grow just for one plant to be in full size. So when we step in here and you see how large some of these are, you really will understand just how old but beautiful this place is.
Now, the crew here went ahead and dropped our packs in a clearing by the opening of the bamboo forest, and if you want to explore this, I advise you do the same. The ground is soft and it gets thick very quickly. Now, it is very fun, and frankly, it's an almost different world once you enter here. What surrounds you is almost like a wall. It's very difficult to even see sunlight sometimes in the summertime. Fortunately, this is the fall season. Again, I advise you to watch your step when you come out here. The ground is very soft in many areas, and earth can uproot fairly quickly. You don't want to get a leg stuck in this. I also advise caution when you come out here, and especially advise you to take a friend along, because as you can see here, it doesn't take particularly long to get lost and or just outright disappear in this environment. I very well could waffle on about personal safety all day, but please also come here and truly enjoy this breathtaking piece of nature. And don't forget to have some almost childlike fun in this environment. For example, knock on the bamboo and hear where it's hollow at the joint. Or just go ahead and practice your drumming. This area also allows for the prime opportunity to finally build that lean muscle mass you always wanted. Way to go, Tauntaun. In all seriousness, the bamboo forest here at Clemson is an absolute must visit and remains my all-time favorite location in the upstate to go and hike through.
We are currently here at the Clemson Experimental Forest in my favorite section, the bamboo forest. And this is an incredible area to actually be. It's a complete change of biome from where you are most of the time. The air here is so much cooler and crisper. There's an incredible lack of insects, and it's just awe-inspiring because we really don't have these in this part of the country. So it's incredible to be a part of this. All of that said, you do need to be careful here because this can be a dangerous area. The ground is very soft in certain areas, almost like a sinkhole, just because of where other areas of bamboo and pine have died. So you can fall in. Further, there are certain habitats here for smaller animals. They dig their holes and burrow in as well, and those are dangerous to step in. But that being said, again, just take a look around you here. This place is stunning.
Sadly, at this point, we do have to move on with our hike, but please enjoy this beauty one last time. Leaving the bamboo forest is always a bit sad, but there's so many more exciting sights to be seen here at the Clemson Experimental Forest. For example, here's a common mullein, otherwise known as Adam's flannel. Now, this particular plant is not only moisture-rich and fuzzy, but apparently it also doubles as nature's homemade toilet paper. Now, we didn't try to verify this in the field, so we'll just leave it up to rumor. From there, we made our way slightly downhill and through an ever lighter forest. Take note that this is the typical environment of upstate South Carolina, red clay and a lot of pine. Relatively fun to hike through, though. Sadly, at this point, Adam and Blake had to turn around because Blake apparently had some kind of phone call about being a responsible father. All good, buddy. Despite that, we didn't need you guys anyway, so see ya.
We'll be fine.
Yep.
We'll be fine.
It is at this point that I'd like to introduce the audience to the idea of the biome change. You will notice steadily as we continue our way across the acreage that every few miles there's a change in the tree types. What was once nothing but pine now slowly turns to maple. Though I have to admit, as pretty as it is, the only thing it really changed was how loud our footsteps were. I would also like to add that you can really see out here as we walk through some of the maple and pine how hard hit this trailhead was by the recent Hurricane Helen. All that said, cleanup crew did an amazing job. As you continue to go further downhill, you'll also start to notice several different creeks forming. None of these were very difficult to cross at this time because, well, rainfall had been scarce. That said, there is plenty of anti-erosion netting to help with crossing. And with that said, don't think that all the uphill work is done. You will be going back up fairly shortly.
Ooh. Look at the magic leaf. Look at what I'm doing. Look at what I'm doing. Back up, cameraman. Let them see my power. Oh, I'm good. I'm a wizard.
Now enough of that tomfoolery. Let's take a moment to see something really cool off the trail. Now, as some of you may know, just like a grocery store, rangers and scientists also have to take inventory.
What's really cool about being here in the inventory, as boring as the name might sound, is actually that for scientific purposes, so many of these marked pines are going to be tracked over the entirety of their lifetime, both for how they grow, how they die, what kind of diseases they have, if they have any kind of autoimmunes, if they're able to protect themselves, what kind of fungi grow with them, as well as the animals that cohabitate with them and also work as parasites against them. There's a lot to study in an area like this, and it's really fascinating. That said, that is not the purpose of today's video, but still, it's food for thought, so please, like the sign said, check out their website to learn a little bit more.
And some of these pines even come with dog tags, so if you're very curious, look them up. Taking the crew a little bit further off the trail, we actually come upon another really cool discovery that's worth sharing with our viewers here.
So right here is a really fun site. This is used for Army ROTC orienteering. They'll have their little map punches here, as you can see, in red. And of course, this is Site A. Pretty neat to know that the Army ROTC, come out here relatively regularly, at least once or twice every 2 quarters, I was going to say. They will come out and actually orienteer and shut off sections of the forest here to explore. What's even more fun is I have some secrets I can show you if you follow me here in a minute. following up on our last point there, something that's kind of funny, as hardcore as orienteering can be, what I do like, especially at this time of year, is you can actually see the foot trails that they commonly take. These aren't just deer paths, these are actually human footpaths. And again, because of the box we just saw up there from orienteering, it's fairly obvious to tell the difference in that case. I'll get in close in a minute in a solo shot, but you can see it breaks this way, it breaks down here, and it leads uphill because they follow these trails pretty often, regardless of how they change the map year-round. It's still pretty obvious to see where they've been, but that is just saying from some past perspective.
Now, it's fairly difficult to see on camera, but if you look at the leaves, you can see a depression in the earth where people commonly walk. Of course, it's going to be fairly easy to see the closer you get to your orienteering markers. Now, from there, we come upon the French drain, and if you're curious what a French drain looks like, it looks like this. These aid in the process of irrigation. The drain, in turn, leads us over to this incredibly non-confusing sign here at the Fant Grove Wildlife Management Area. We also like to call this section the Burnt Forest. Why do we call it the Burnt Forest? Because as you can obviously tell, at one point there was a controlled burning out here. Now, there's nothing derogatory in that statement. This is actually one of my favorite spots to walk through in Clemson. You can see by the width of these pines just how young they really are and how new the growth in the area is, though their height is certainly impressive. It is a shame that that section of forest doesn't last longer, because from here we come upon what we like to call the Weedy Briary Thicket. But where does that name come from?
Now, just in case you were wondering why we call this section the Weedy Briary Thicket, well, it's because it's weedy, it's briary, and it's a thicket. Take a close-up there.
By no means is this section terrible, though I have to admit that the sooner you get out of it, the better you feel. Besides, it's always more fun to see so many of the sections that are changing for the autumn weather.
You know, you guys really don't know what goes on behind the camera just to get a nice shot.
As we get closer to the coastline of the Kiowa River and Lake Hartwell, everything starts to undulate a bit more, and you will find yourself doing a bit more climbing. These hill climbs are nothing particularly arduous, but I do not deny they certainly get the blood pumping.
So, by no means was that our most difficult climb ever, but it still gets my breath down, doesn't you? Yeah, I think you can hear me messing up my lines.
And there is one final climb, which is the most difficult of the day, but that being said, it is by choice we make this climb. There is a secondary route around it. All of that work is worth it, however, as you start to really run into some absolutely beautiful small waterways. One of my favorite crossings here with the slate rock was actually easily passable today due to the drought, and there is so much to behold and really enjoy in this water and rock formation. I really could stay here all day, but unfortunately we do have to carry on, but it does make for a fun water crossing. Now, if you want the best view of the water, you're gonna have to go off trail again. But friends, to be able to come out here and relax after a good hike is really worth it. Even with the water being low at Lake Hartwell, there really is something so special about being able to sit there and see the change of the autumn leaves, as well as to hear the ripple of the water, and of course to have your own private beachhead is just a bonus. There were no loud motorboats or music playing, no conversations to be had, just a beautiful serenity of lapping water on the shore. It is at moments like this that I am reminded that you really just cannot pay for such a beautiful moment in life. You really just have to take that moment and enjoy it as long as it can last.
I'd really like to thank you all again for coming along with us on this adventure, especially now that we've made it here to what is our final destination for the day, the preeminent view. It really is just something lovely to unplug, unwind, and be out here in nature once more. It's also just so relieving to sit down and have one of my all-time favorites, a mandarin. So I'd like to thank you again for sharing this time with us here, because this is another one of those beautiful, breathtaking moments in life, which frankly, I don't think the camera does justice for. But we will attempt, we will endeavor, and we will try. Cameraman, if you don't mind taking a wide view for a second.
And maybe, just maybe, it would have been possible to make a moment like this last forever. Unfortunately for our viewers, you're dealing with the Eager Beaver Crew, and we happen to discover something lurking underneath the shore. Oh, the humanity! What could this horrible abomination be? Alien eggs? A creature from the Black Lagoon? What kind of terror is this? Actually, what we have before you here is something fairly mundane. It is known as a BRYOZOAN. Now, the first human instinct might be to eat this delicious and tasty morsel. Please don't do that. This creature is a collection of different invertebrates, all brought together in what is known as a zooid. In this case, they clump together in order to feed on plankton. These fellows are pretty harmless to us, though I would suggest after handling that you wash your hands. And from there, we decided to make our way up from the shore and back towards the trail. Though we did take a moment to appreciate the hard work of our namesake, the Eager Beaver, at work. Thanks, little buddy. And the hike back is a bit strenuous in the fact that you have to go uphill, but it's not too pressing either. And with our hike thus concluding, let's go ahead now and skip to the most important part, our final thoughts.
I'd like to thank you all for joining us again, finally, back in the outdoors proper. It's really great to be out here where I used to work at the Clemson Botanical Garden. Now, there's plenty more to show you out here, and we are limited in what we can do with the time given to us. But I hope you so much enjoyed seeing the different biomes that this university studies and what's available to the students as well as the general public. Because the best thing about it is there is no admission. This place is entirely free. When we go by, there are people on horses, on mountain bikes. There are people on the normal road on normal bikes or, road bikes. You see families out here, you see individuals, you see young couples, the young and old. It's really fantastic. At this time, I'd also really like to thank everyone who works here officially and who volunteers here at the forest. Cleaning up after the likes of Hurricane Helen obviously was like moving a mountain, but they did it. The large majority has been cleaned up very well, and it's going to come down to touch-up work at this point. But this area is fully accessible after roughly a month and a half of hurricane weather to the general public again. So really, kudos to them and thank you so much. Again, we really hope that you enjoyed today's show, and we are finally getting back on track with our general filming schedule. So thank you to all of those who have been with us, and for all of those who have recently joined. We'll have plenty more outdoors content coming to you very soon, as well as a few leftover videos from before the hurricane that are now in the backlog moving forward. Again, thank you all so much, and really, please, if you've enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. Other than that, we'll see you all very soon. Until next time, this is the Eager Beaver, signing off.